It started out like one of those dream friendships you read about in novels. We met during orientation week of freshman year. I was sitting alone at a mixer, nervously sipping a soda, when she plopped down next to me and said, "You look like you hate it here too." I laughed. From that moment on, we were inseparable. I'll call her Lily. She was bold where I was quiet, confident where I was cautious. We balanced each other perfectly, or so I thought. By the second semester, we were roommates. We finished each other's sentences, binged shows in our pajamas, and shared everything from snacks to secrets. She remembered every birthday in my family, helped me study for finals, and once even drove me to the ER when I had a bad flu. She called us soulmates, platonic of course, and for a while it was flattering. I'd never felt so seen, so important in someone's life. But looking back now, I can see the signs were always there. They were just wrapped in the packaging of deep friendship. The first real red flag came to me when I started dating Ben. He wasn't anyone particularly special at the time. We met in a creative writing class, hit it off, and started hanging out. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and late-night phone calls. Lily didn't seem threatened at first. In fact, she was the one who encouraged me to say yes when Ben first asked me out. She even helped me pick my outfit for our second date. But I noticed the shift almost immediately afterward. She began texting constantly while I was out with him. "Are you okay? Did he say anything weird? When will you be back?" It didn't feel like concern, it felt like surveillance. The more I leaned into the relationship, the more Lily leaned into mine. She'd ask probing questions. "Do you think he's really right for you?" Or, "What if he hurts you like that guy from high school?" At first, I brushed it off. Everyone's a little protective of their best friend, right? But then she started dropping by my classes, literally just walking in and pretending to need something from me, interrupting lectures to say hi. Professors started giving me looks. She'd do the same thing at work. I was working part-time at a bookstore off campus, and she'd just show up and sit at the cafe across the floor, watching me for hours while pretending to read. It was then that I started feeling nervous instead of loved, like I was under a microscope. I remember one specific day. Ben and I had gone hiking upstate. I turned my phone off because I wanted to disconnect and just be present. When I turned it back on hours later, I had 56 messages from Lily. Some were normal. "Where are you? Are you okay?" Some were panicked. "Did something happen? Please tell me you're not in a ditch." And some were just angry. "You could have told me. I guess I don't matter anymore." When I called her back, she burst into tears. She said she thought I was dead, that she had no one else in the world, that I was the only person who ever understood her. It was too much, but I told myself she was just emotional. She'd been through a rough childhood. She had abandonment issues. I excused it. I enabled it. I began shrinking my own world to keep her calm. I stopped going out as much. I started texting her, even when I was out with Ben. I let her read my messages so she wouldn't feel left out. I gave her access to my location on my phone. Then she started showing up at Ben's place. She didn't even know his address. At least, I didn't tell her. I still don't know how she found it. She rang the doorbell and said she wanted to talk. When he opened the door, she pushed past him and walked right into the apartment like she owned the place. She said she was just making sure I was safe. He told her she needed to leave. That's when she turned on him. She began spreading rumors. On campus, online, even in anonymous group chats. She said Ben was abusive, that I was being manipulated, that I'd changed and was hurting people who love me. My friends started pulling back. Even my parents got a weird email about Ben from a fake account. I could feel my world closing in. Eventually, Ben broke up with me. Not because he didn't care, but because he said the situation had become unsafe. And I agreed, but I still didn't cut her off. It took another 6 months of increasingly obsessive behavior for me to finally reach my breaking point. Lily began calling my boss to check if I made it to work. She showed up at my volunteer shifts. Once, she followed me into a therapy appointment. When my therapist suggested that I was in an emotionally abusive friendship, I laughed. "It's not abuse," I said. "She's just intense." My therapist looked at me and said, "Intensity that violates your boundaries isn't love, it's control." That was the moment the fog began to lift. I started journaling, documenting every interaction. I began therapy twice a week. I told my employer what was happening. I spoke to campus safety. I began cutting contact, slowly at first, then all at once. She didn't take it well. I received packages, letters, gifts, photo albums, drawings. I blocked her on everything. She made new accounts. I changed my number. She got a hold of my mother's. I filed a restraining order. It was one of the most painful experiences of my life. Not just because of the fear, but because I had to mourn a person who wasn't who I thought she was. I mourned the friendship, the sisterhood, the laughter, but I also found peace. Today, I live in a different city. I have healthy, reciprocal friendships. I'm still in therapy. I still flinch when I see someone who looks like her. But I'm learning to trust again. If you're in a friendship that drains you, suffocates you, or erases your boundaries under the excuse of love, please know this. You don't owe anyone access to your life just because they once made you feel special. Obsession is not devotion. And some soulmates are meant to teach you how to let go.